Hey, just a side note, I called the Chupacabra an ape-like creature throughout this video. I just I read the wrong things around it. It is a wolf-like creature, just for the ones that might not know, and I am completely aware of that. Sorry for making it all weird throughout and everything, but enjoy the video. Welcome to Crypt Theory. We go into the unknown, the mysterious, and the dark realities of this world. Let's get into it. Alright, so today's episode is about the Chupacabra. I'm finishing the 3 ape-like creatures from 3 different places in the world. So yeah, let's get into this thing, I guess. Let's do it. Alright, so first big thing I think that hits really hard in this is that it's actually not a lot of people. What I see is people think it's from Mexican culture, which is interesting. It's really not. It's actually from Puerto Rican culture, which is interesting in itself. At the same time makes sense. Rule Island, or not Rule Island, but an island on the coast doesn't. It's just an island, so makes sense to a point. But I just wanted to point it out that it's Puerto Rican culture, it's not Mexican culture, which a lot of people think is. Let's see here. So what's also the chupacabra is also known as a goat sucker. That has haunted dreams. It was supposedly terrorizing farmers for so long in that general area of where it was found. And it started in Puerto Rico and spread it across the Americas, North America, South America. I think that's where why we think it's a lot of Mexican culture is the chupacabra originally. I think that might be why, or a big part in why, at least. The first sighting of the chupacabra was in 1995. So this is after the Yeti, and this is after Bigfoot. So this is the pretty much little brother to Bigfoot in a sense of lore and the just general aspect of what it is. In March of that year, 8 sheep discovered dead, puncture wounds, chest area, like it drained blood from the sheep, which I think is interesting. Draining blood is a different characteristic than both the Yeti and Bigfoot. It is heavily comparable to Bigfoot and the Yeti in certain ways, and it's very different in others. Other things that it could be, I'm not sure actually, like what animals live around that area. Puncture wounds, it could be a multitude of things. 8 sheep, 8 is usually symbolistic to something. 8, 6, and 3 are usually your 3 symbolistic things with religion, or religions that I know of. Let's see here. So the first reported sighting, as I said, 1995. Later that year, a woman named Madeline Tolentino, I believe, reported seeing the creature in a canovanas in Puerto Rico. That would be the area. She described it: large eyes, bipedal, spines down its back, terrifying image that captured public imagination. Which this is the big part. It's usually comes with the first sighting or the second sighting of someone just saying it and goes around town and eventually gets out and it just starts spinning downhill, rolling downhill quick. But it also could mean also not always rolling downhill quick, but it does a fair margin of that. For sure. That's interesting. Um, the description blueprint of the Chupacabra myth, according to Tolentino, 5 feet tall, reptilian body, which is interesting for how much this thing is compared to Bigfoot and the Yeti. Um, leathery or scaly, grayish green skin, sharp quills, alien-like appearance. Now, this interests me because this is the time where a lot of people are very superstitious about aliens, especially in the U.S. in the 90s. So this is a relatively newer one that picked up popularity relatively quick. If the first sighting was reported in 95, that's not too old. That's what, 29 years? Yeah, it's not even 30 years old yet. And it was reported 1995, which is interesting to see here. The next thing, the months and years following, reports of it, attacks spread across Latin America. That would be. That's a good question. A lot of your South American countries in that part of Mexico down where it connects with a bunch of like Panama and stuff like that, Panama, Guatemala, and your northern Southern America. Um, yeah. Let's see. Uh, like yeah, farmers, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, even attacks in the southern United States around Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. That's interesting because that means it's somehow swam, which reptilian I kind of get, all the way through Mexico and got to the southern border of the United States. Um, livestock deaths, same puncture wounds, blood drainage. It's not like it's eating the livestock. It's like it's a vampire in a way, which I think is fairly interesting. Um, creature behind these attacks, mass hysteria, as it would, and misidentification. I'm gonna go into the possible explanations of what this can be. Go really interesting into this. Scientists, skeptics, chupacabra sightings can be attributed to well-known animals suffering a severe mange, like skin disease, parasitic mites. When coyotes or dogs have mange, hairless and gaunt, giving them a monster's appearance, which but at the same time, coyotes aren't huge, like 5 foot bipedal. I don't think, or from what I've seen, they might be bigger in different parts, in different places. Let's see. Yeah. Biologists like Barry O'Connor from the University of Michigan suggest that these sick animals are the real culprits behind the Chupacabra legend, which is a huge possibility. I 100% totally see that happening. It's, the weekended state could explain the description and the usual lifestyle attacks. At the time, it was interesting because the scaly skin and the alien-like proverb makes me think, because that was a big time of a lot of people were scared of aliens and stuff. I couldn't find much on this lady that reported on the Chupacabra at first, so I'm not 100% sure if she was like 100% sane or not. Because if at the time aliens were like the big scare, early 90s, so it or late 90s, and it could be a multitude of things. Um, let's see. In 2010, the same University of Michigan biologist Barry O'Connor linked the Chupacabra legend effects to sarcopetes, scabii. Not might have messed that wording up. I'm not 100% sure. It's a mite, responsible for mange in canines. So this is possibly a canine creature making those puncture wounds, which would make sense because of the teeth. But it wouldn't make sense why there wouldn't be any tearing of the body, or of the, not the body, the livestock, which is interesting. It's like a vampire type thing. It's they'll lose their fur, appear grotesque, and that could lead to misidentification easily. Not 100% against it. It doesn't end there though. Some reports describe the Chupacabra as a reptilian bipedal, which is in a line with appearance of a mangy coyote. Another possibility of the reptilian Chupacabra sighting could be linked to pop culture influences, for sure. Some researchers believe the original Puerto Rican sightings were influenced by the 1995 sci-fi horror film Species, which a featured creature bearing a strong resemblance to Talentino, the lady earlier's description of it, which I think is interesting because from what the reports that I read, it seems like she's really freaked out about this thing and this thing is real, which confuses me, because if she's saying, oh my god, this is real, this is real, this is real, this is real, and stressing about it, why would she pull that from a movie? This connection first proposed by skeptic Benjamin Radford in 2011. In his book, Tracking the Chupacabra, Radford conducted a 5-year investigation into the legend, concluded that Talentino's description of the Chupacabra closely matched an alien creature from Species, which had been released shortly before the sighting. That's interesting because that means it was released if it was released shortly before the sighting. Let me check when Species was released. Okay, July 7th. July 7th, and then date. Let me see. Let me double check when her sighting was. It's not exactly telling me, so if it's shortly after, maybe August? Yeah, it doesn't tell me the exact date. So if it was closely after, I would think maybe mid July, early August, as late as September. And for the way he's wording it here. Um, so Ranford's investigation: how media and pop culture can influence and shape cryptid legends, which I think this is why it got so big so relatively quick. Yes, I know it's been like 29 years or whatever. It's not even 30 years old, but for a cryptid like this, it is huge. Bigfoot was sighting several years before. The Yeti was in the 1700s. It was like 1845, somewhere near there. I think this is very interesting that how pop culture can push things so far and so fast, especially with cryptid legends. It's very interesting. It's been so many Hollywood films. Not as many as Bigfoot, not as many as the Yeti, but at the same time, it was more well known. The Yeti and Bigfoot were more well known going through the years compared to the Chupacabra, which got big, and then it just stayed. It hasn't stayed as high and as top as your Yetis and your Bigfoots are today, but it is still a really, really good. It is a really, really well known thing. Despite explanations, sightings, reports continue to this day. The same with a lot of the big cryptids, your Mothmans, your Yeti, your Bigfoot, stuff like that. From Texas to Chile, people still claim to encounter this thing, which I think is interesting. Texas to Chile, that's pretty good different distance because you have to go from Texas through Mexico and then all those things that connect South America, North America, South America, all those countries, and then Chile is in South America. So it's interesting of how it says it's still being reported in so many different countries. That is very interesting to me. In 2007, Texas rancher named Phyllis Canyon found a strange hairless creature on his property. DNA test later, it's a coyote with severe mange. But it did add to the Chupacabra fire of it just going and going and going and going and going. Every single report just added to the fire. It's just like you're just throwing more gasoline into the fire, more gasoline to the fire. It's not going to go out until somebody puts this to rest, but the Bigfoot fire is still going. The Yeti fire is still going. So that's very interesting. 2018, a Montana man, which is a bit ways from Texas because you have to go through Oklahoma to get there. So that is a whole state away. State away because you have to go through Oklahoma, which is interesting. Here, shot a mysterious wolf-like creature. Initial speculation suggested Chupacabra. A wolf with mange. These incidents show that the Chupacabra legend persists, blending reality and folklore. That's what a lot of cryptid legends do. They mix reality with folklore they've heard over the years from ancient times, and they mix it in their head, and they think, holy shit, I just found this thing. Oh my god. Let me, I just found this thing. I have to report it to the mainstream media. And it just keeps on adding to the fire. So we're probably never going to have answers to any of these cryptic legends, but hopefully, hey, one day if we do, that's the day I'm going to be covering it again. So hopefully they do. Let's do it. The Chupacabra is a fascinating blend of folklore and media. I think that is a big thing here. It is huge with media. I think the Chupacabra wouldn't have been as big as it is if it would have happened earlier. If it would have happened earlier, let's say 70s, 60s, 60s, early 70s, I would say it wouldn't be as big as it is today. But since it happened in the early 90s, media was it was pushed so much in the media, it just went, went farther and farther and farther, and now we're here, and people are still fueling this fire. Um, it's the sightings can be explained by wolves with mange. Um, it the legend itself is a powerful symbol of how known the unknown can be. What I mean by that is the chupacabra is well known by a lot and many, but at the same time, it is so we don't know what it truly is, and is still truly unknown. Um, and that goes the same for Bigfoot. That goes for the same for the Yeti. That goes for the same for a bunch of things. Um, the Chupacabra remind us. It just reminds us of innate fear of the unknown. Um, People are afraid of the unknowingly. Uh, I think that's really everybody. Realistically, um, just humanity's tendency to create these monsters and explain what we don't understand fully of what happens. Um, and people can take from different types of media sources. You can take from any horror movie. You can take from The Thing. You can take from any horror movie like that with their own monsters, and just go with it. And it'll one of these days it'll go from a movie to saying this is real. This is not just in a movie I saw. This is real, and people will be freaked out if it's pushed hard enough and in the right way. People, it will become a mythical legend, and it'll be forever immortalized. Um, Whether you believe this thing or not, it is a story with a testament of enduring power. How media can form things out of nothing. How the media can go from one person saying something to a whole span of countries, different countries saying something. This started, may I add, in Puerto Rico in 1995. I'm not sure the U.S. expansion time of when the U.S. it became a U.S. entity or whatever the thing is. I'm not that good with history of that, but it's it started in Puerto Rico, which I know is an island. So that's interesting. The interesting fact is it somehow swam from Puerto Rico to Mexico. Um, it's very interesting to me. Um, how things work and how this pushes so hard from it's a lizard creature that just it's like a vampire because it's not like it's tearing up this livestock. It is sucking the blood from the livestock like it is a vampire, which is weird and very odd because you would think it would just tear the livestock to shreds and go. But no, it's just um sucking the blood out of everything. Um and here's the thing. For it to travel from Puerto Rico to Mexico as it did in about a year, saying this creature is real, it would have to go over 2,300 miles just to swim to Mexico, and it would have to be traveling up and down, up and down, up and down, maybe for food sources. But I think it's a very odd of how it's hit so hard, and the legend has hit so hard throughout the years that it is still immortalized today. Um, Thanks for watching and watch me ramble about a lizard, Hispanic lizard creature. Um, Next time we'll be delving into the depths of the moth. Turn your lights on, people. And I will see, and make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next one.